Hi everybody, it's Tatiana, and today I'm coming to do my May wrap up. A few announcements before I get into that. I will be doing video reading diary a video reading diary the month of June. I am piggybacking off of Michael from Michael Reads. I love his reading diaries, and I want to join in on that. Also have something else a little different coming along that, I'll go ahead and say it now. I'm going to call Face Mask Friday. I don't know about any of you, but with the weather changing and my allergies, my face is having some moments of breakouts. And one of the things that I try to do, because I work at home, I can do some of the face masks while I'm working. However, when you have masks that tighten as they dry, it becomes a little difficult to talk with them on, as well as with the sheet mask. You have to sit really still, bending over to pick stuff up and everything with the sheet mask on doesn't really work. But one of the things that I like to do that is super funny to me, it makes me laugh at myself, is when I'm talking to someone, be it a friend or my mom or whatever, on the phone, and the more the mask tightens as it dries, the more difficult it becomes for me to talk. And I'm at the point now that we are in May, and just dealing with the fact that we are pretty much fucked, and whatever the fuck I want to do, I'm going to do. So the books that I read in the month of May, one thing that you will see that I have noticed as I have looked over the things that I've read this year thus far is that I am reading a lot more graphic works than I typically do, and that really kind of started around November of last year, and that's because I need that. I need it. I need that break from reality, and reading graphic novels and comics is really, really helping with that, as well as watching a lot of cartoons. I'm talking really, really fast, y'all. My mind is going a mile a minute. I am going back to getting off Facebook because I just saw something on there about this whole world fucked up situation that we're in that's throwing me for a damn loop. Probably not the best time to record this video, but if I don't do it today, it won't get done because I have stuff to do tomorrow, which is Friday. So, the books that I read this month, I'm going to start with the graphic novels that I read. These are not in order, in the order in which they were read, but I'm going to start with the graphic novels. The first that I read that I actually have already had to return to the library was Volume 1 of Wolverine, Old Man Logan. I kind of sort of didn't like it, but it was enough. I liked it once it got to the end. If you're not aware, by the time the storyline gets up to the point where Old Man Logan starts, Logan has become a pacifist. I like the savageness of Wolverine. I like it when he's slicing and dicing people who do wrong shit. And that was not fun for me to read, that he, with the whole pacifist thing, and there are some other characters that are in it. I'm like, just why? But then, as the story progresses, you have to get back to Wolverine as the character that he is. So, as he loses his pacifism and the savagery comes back out, he became, again, my favorite fictional character. So, I may read Volume 2 just to see where it goes from that point, and then see if I'm interested in continuing on. The other graphic novels that I read, there's a little scratch on here. I read Postal Volume 3, and I kind of thought that I was going to want to break away from this series after reading Volume 3. Volumes 1 and 2 were, is this Volume 3? Yeah. I think I may have bought Volume 4. Volumes 1 and 2 were good, but towards the end of Volume 2, it was kind of waning off a little bit, and I didn't think that I would be interested after reading Volume 3, but I had already purchased it. So I read it. I was wrong. I liked it. I am going to get Volume 4 at some point. Right now I'm just compiling a list of the things that I want, because between buying books and buying coloring books and some goals that I have financially, life is not working out that way, so it'll be a minute before I get it. I also read, I'm moving them around because I have one I want to talk about last. Rasputin, Volume 1, The Road to the Winter Palace. I believe I talked about this in my Battle Books wrap-up. Briefly, this is the backstory of Rasputin, but it is mostly told without words. And it goes from his childhood up to him getting to the Winter Palace, where he actually gets to meet the Romanovs and work with Nicholas and Alexandra and dealing with Alexander, their sixth son, and something happens to him as the story goes along, because it's going between the past and then the present today. And so I really enjoyed this. I was not sure that I was going to. I did say when I talked about this that if you are not familiar with the backstory of Rasputin, you would be a little lost in reading this. But the way that I have discovered that I learn history outside of being extremely interested in it is if I read about an event or something. Yes, that's an event. I was going to say something that happens, and then go research it. I retain that knowledge better. So I'm going to change that to say if you don't know about the backstory of Rasputin, you will be a little lost. But if you are interested in the backstory of Rasputin, this is a good place, a good way to get some information and then know what to look for as far as him as a major point in the Bolshevik Revolution and the fall of the Romanov Empire. I don't believe that there is a lot of information on his actual childhood, because he kept a lot of that close to his chest. He didn't share that with a lot of people. But yeah, okay. Next, I read Afar by Leila Del Duca and Kit Seaton. I have a review of this that I will be uploading this weekend, so check that out when it's posted. I discuss a lot more in that I edited a lot of sidebar discussion and things out of that video, because I recorded it like 20 minutes to midnight and I was super rambly. But check out the review of this when I upload it. And then lastly, yes, for graphic novels, I read Saga Volume 7. It took me longer to read this than I expected it to, because the story did drag a little bit. It felt long. With the other volumes, even with waxing and waning in issues, this is broken up actually as a graphic novel into chapters. So in like chapter 22, it would wane in the middle, but before it would finish, you would be out of that or on to the next kind of exciting thing. This had a lot more lag in it than I expected it to, so it took me a little longer to read it. It was okay. I still want to continue with the series because I do enjoy it, and I enjoy the thing reading about this storyline and this family and how things are happening. So I'm going to continue with the series, but this was a slow volume for me to read. Next, I read, or not next, but I also read Behind the Throne by K.B. Wagers. This is the fastest I have ever read a book received in any mail box piece of whatever. I got this in the spring book bath box, and I was so excited because I had been wanting to read this. Like, my video is absolutely over the top ridiculous, but it is me in my true form when I'm excited about something. And so I read this. I am unsure about whether or not I will do a review of this. If you are interested in me doing an actual review of this, please let me know in the comments below. I will say I really liked it. I also read The Queen of the Tearling by Erica Johansson. This was a reread because I want to read the other two books. A goal that I have for this year is to finish as many of the series that I've already started as I can. And so I want to read the other two books, which are Invasion of the Tearling and Fate of the Tearling. Both I already own, but I wanted to make sure that I had the details of what took place in The Queen of the Tearling first, that I had them straight. So I reread this, and I reread it as an audiobook, and oh my goodness, the audiobook was absolutely wonderful. When it first started, I was like, not sure how I feel about this chick's voice. I want to say her name was Catherine Selman or Sellerman. But as the story goes along, her ability to do the voices, and one of my favorite characters in the story is the Mace. Oh, she got him. Like, I thoroughly enjoyed this story. Rereading it, I enjoyed it the first time, but rereading it as an audiobook, top freaking notch. Thoroughly enjoyed this. If you haven't read it and you're interested in reading it, the audiobook is like 14 hours and a few minutes. So you can, get through it, and I did read it on 1.5 times speed because she read it a lot, like kind of slow. But for 1.5 speed to 2 times speed, even sometimes it did not feel like it was going fast. Sometimes you do that with some audiobooks and it feels like it's just running out of control. That was not the case in reading this. So that's just a testament to how, not necessarily slowly it was read, but yeah, how slowly it was read. Thoroughly enjoyed this as a reread. Super excited now, even more so, to get into book 2. And then the last thing that I read is Wrath by John Gwynne. This is the 4th book in the Faithful and the Fallen series, and I said before that I was not going to do a review of this series, but I think that I am, because this might be the last epic fantasy series that I ever read. And that's not because I didn't like it. I loved this series. I loved the characters, even some of the evil characters. I liked them. I liked getting some of their viewpoints and getting that understanding of why they were doing some things that they did from start to finish. And there were some parts in Ruin, which is book 3, because I was like, why is this so much longer? But the last book, like book 3 is the longest book in the series. But there were some parts in Ruin that kind of lagged as we're getting to the build-up for this God War, but that was not the case with this book. I actually had to make myself stop so that I could freaking breathe because things were happening, and the emotional connection that after 4 books of reading these people, the emotional connection that I had with some of them was a little legit, and I don't know if I can go through that again. If it's a completed series, possibly. Even more so, possibly by audiobook versus reading it in print, because I don't know if you all have experienced this also, but sometimes when I read a book by audiobook, it takes me longer to connect to some of the characters in the story than it does if I read it in print. So, yeah, that is everything that I read in the month of May. I don't know what I am reading for the month of June. I will say this, in the grand scheme of the We Are Fucked situation, I have some library books that I'm about to send back to the library because I need to read the books that are on my shelf. Because before I leave this earth, I would like to be able to say that I didn't leave this earth with 260-something unread books in my possession. So, may sound a little morbid, but, Winx is learning how to pick locks in the case of us turning into a utopian society. We all have different ways of thinking about things. What I am thinking is that, Winx, you and I need to meet up in the middle somewhere so that we can get our own little band of bitches together. So that's all that I have for this video. Thank you all for watching. I hope you have a good weekend, whenever you see this video. Peace out.